Welcome to Affair Confessions, where secrets, lies, and betrayals come to life. Get ready for thrilling stories that explore the dark side of love and temptation. Subscribe and let the story begin.
Have you ever felt that magnetic pull, the kind you know you shouldn't give into, but it's impossible to resist? I wasn't looking for it, and I certainly wasn't expecting it, but in one night, everything I thought I knew about loyalty, temptation, and desire was shattered. My best friend's son walked into my life in a way that changed everything. This isn't just another affair, it's a story of crossing the line and never being able to turn back. I never expected my life to take the turn it did that night. For years, I had built what I thought was a perfect life, married to a loving husband, raising 2 children, living in a house that echoed with laughter. But underneath the surface, things were different. My marriage wasn't the fairy tale it appeared to be. Somewhere along the way, the love had faded, and we became more like roommates than lovers. We barely touched, barely talked beyond the necessary details of everyday life. I found myself craving attention, craving the spark I had once known. That's when it all started, just a small, innocent dinner at my best friend's house. We had a few drinks, shared old memories, and laughed like we always did. But this night was different. Her son had just come home from college. I'd known him since he was a child, but when he walked into the room, it was clear he wasn't a boy anymore. He was tall, with a chiseled jawline, his dark hair tousled in a way that looked effortless. His eyes, deep and focused, seemed to see right through me, and the muscles beneath his shirt hinted at the strength he had gained during his years away. He moved with confidence, the awkwardness of his youth gone. He had always been handsome, but now he was magnetic, with a maturity and presence that I couldn't ignore. As the night went on, my friend excused herself to take a phone call, leaving just the 2 of us at the kitchen table. It was innocent enough, or at least it should have been. But the way he leaned toward me, his arm brushing mine, it sent a shiver down my spine. He caught me off guard when he asked if I remembered taking care of him as a kid. We laughed about how I used to babysit him, but the laugh was forced. There was something unspoken between us, a tension building that neither of us acknowledged out loud. "You've changed a lot," he said, leaning forward, his elbows resting on the table. His eyes stayed on mine, holding my gaze in a way that felt impossible to break. I smiled, though it felt nervous. "So have you. College suits you." He tilted his head, his eyes softening as they traced my face. "It's not just college. I'm older now, and I see things differently." There was a pause as I tried to deflect, shifting the conversation. "I used to babysit you. Now look at you, all grown up." "I'm not a kid anymore," he said, his voice low, almost a challenge. "I notice things now, things I didn't before." I swallowed, feeling my pulse quicken. His gaze felt heavier now, more intense. "What are you talking about?" "You," he said simply, leaning a little closer. "I've noticed you." I laughed nervously, brushing it off. "I'm married, remember?" "That doesn't change how I feel," he said, his voice steady. "And I know you feel it too." His words caught me off guard. I opened my mouth to argue, to deny it, but nothing came out. Instead, I just sat there, feeling the tension between us thicken, knowing that he was right. There was something undeniable about the way we connected now, something dangerous. "I'm flattered, but this is a bad idea," I finally managed to say. "Maybe," he said, his eyes not leaving mine. "But bad ideas can feel pretty good, can't they?" I felt the heat rise in my cheeks, my heart pounding in my chest. "You shouldn't say things like that." "Why not?" "We're just talking, right?" he said, though his tone made it clear there was more behind his words. He leaned in even closer, and I could feel his presence overwhelming me. "I've been thinking about you since I got back. I haven't been able to stop." I swallowed hard, my resolve slipping. "This is wrong." I'm too old for you, Anne. You're not, he interrupted, his voice firm but soft. You're exactly what I want. I felt my heart race even more. His words lingered in the air, thick and heavy. I could feel the pull between us, the magnetic attraction that was becoming harder and harder to resist. Later, when my friend went to bed, the tension between us boiled over. He leaned in close, his voice low and tempting. You don't have to pretend. I know you feel it too, he whispered. My heart raced, and for a moment, I was frozen. He stepped even closer, and my breath caught in my throat. His hand brushed against mine, sending sparks through me. Before I knew it, we were leaning into each other, his lips inches from mine. I felt his breath on my skin, and for one reckless moment, I wanted to give in. But something in me snapped. No, I whispered, pulling back abruptly. I couldn't do this. I rushed out, grabbing my coat and making a hasty excuse about needing to leave early. My heart was pounding in my chest as I fled the house, leaving him standing there, watching me go. That night, I couldn't sleep. The image of him haunted me, the intensity of his eyes, the way his touch had ignited something in me I hadn't felt in years. I dreamed of him, his lips on mine, his hands roaming my body, the passion between us so intense it felt almost real. In the dream, I didn't pull away. I let it happen, savoring every forbidden moment, craving more. But when I woke up, the guilt was suffocating. What had I almost done? The next day, I realized I had left my phone at their house in my rush to leave. I knew I had to go back, but I dreaded facing him again. I tried to convince myself that it wouldn't happen, that last night was a one-time lapse in judgment. But as soon as I walked through their door, the tension from the night before was back, stronger than ever. He was waiting for me when I arrived. You forgot this, he said, handing me my phone, his fingers brushing against mine. I tried to make it quick, to leave before things spiraled out of control again, but he stepped in front of me, blocking my way. You're just going to leave like last night? He asked, his voice low and tempting. We can't do this, I whispered, trying to muster the strength to walk away. But we both know you want to. And in that moment, I couldn't resist anymore. I didn't want to. Everything I had been holding back came crashing down as he kissed me. This time, there was no hesitation, no pulling back. I gave in completely. We ended up on the kitchen table, the same table where we had almost crossed the line the night before. The passion between us was overwhelming, consuming every thought, every bit of guilt. I knew it was wrong, but in that moment, I didn't care. When it was over, I pulled away, reality hitting me like a wave. I hurried to gather my things, my mind racing with guilt and shame. I can't believe this, I muttered to myself, more horrified by how much I had wanted it. I rushed out, unable to look back this time. As I drove away, the enormity of what I had done weighed heavily on me. I had betrayed my husband, my best friend, my family. And yet, despite all the guilt, part of me didn't regret it. Now, I was left with the knowledge that my life had changed forever. I had crossed a line, and there was no going back. The only question was, what would happen next?
Thank you for watching Affair Confessions. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more captivating tales. Until next time, let the secrets unfold and the stories continue.